or you're with a label that doesn't have a lot of power, you're not going to get the coverage that you need, and you're going to end up not selling the records and then not getting the support. So with Holy Fuck, we were actually able to confirm our agent early. They are, their strength is that they are a live-based band. So we were able to confirm Ross Warnock, who you've heard works with a lot of Canadian bands. We then went to The Great Escape, and we found our champion. And at that point in time, Drowned in Sound was extremely powerful online magazine. And Colin Roberts was the kind of online guy, go-to guy. And he got to see Holy Fuck, and we did hire a publicist for the event. We were able to bring out media. I knew that the band was really strong live, and so that as soon as people saw them, that there would be a reaction. Whether it be great or whether it be terrible, I just wanted some level of reaction from them. And Drowned in Sound took it and ran with it. Like, they couldn't get enough. It was super fantastic. At the same time, it was the first year of The Great Escape, and Canadian Blast and CIMA had done a deal with NME to make Canada the lead country for The Great Escape, and they were also getting a record of Canadian bands within the NME paper, and that NME would then potentially look at doing editorial on some of those bands. Holy Fuck was one of those bands that were actually written about in NME, and NME decided to take them on and champion them. So already we're off to a good start. Right after The Great Escape, a month later, they were playing Glastonbury, and also were followed with, NME writing them up as the top 5 bands at Glastonbury. So there's just to let you know, The Great Escape is in May and Glastonbury is in June. You're literally talking the difference of a month, and all of a sudden, like, all of this buzz started happening. We actually signed to XL Records because of Colin Roberts. And this is why I'm saying that really having a champion within this market or multiple champions, that's going to be really helpful for you, because they will open doors for you if they love the band. Especially when you get the music lovers, they will do anything for you. It's fantastic. I'd like to claim that it's my brilliant strategy that did this. I'd like to be very clear that we're lucky. I don't know if you guys know Holy Fuck. They're a live electronica band. As one of my friends put, really great, but not so many lyrics. Like, it's already, I had a challenge to deal with this type of artist because, we chose a different path than other people have. So I really have to tell you that we were fortunate in that how music was changing within that environment. We went in at the right time. We had the fortune of supporters like Radiohead and Lou Reed and REM, like, all of a sudden jump on board because it was new, it was exciting. It just happened to be, we happened to be lucky. So I want to make it very clear that although you can hire your press person and try to get media, you can try to play the right shows, you can go out and do the work, which I recommend that you do, and I really recommend that as a business person, you go into the market, you do your research, you meet your people, you find out if there's an avenue for your artist. Because the UK is not for everyone, and it's expensive. If you're a label that does have a lot of money to back you up, fantastic, try to build something. If you're looking at going in and trying to break an individual act, unless you have the right sound, unless you can get the right support, I really recommend that you look at other avenues first, because you're gonna beat your head against a wall for a while. Yeah.
Question, how much has the band sold in the UK?
40,000 records.
40,000 records, which is a very substantial amount of records. Put it in perspective, last year in the US, there was 97,000 records released. Less than 1,000 sold more than 100,000 copies in the US. And basically, the U.S. record industry is carried now by 150 bands. So the live, Melissa may claim to be lucky, but she's obviously smart enough to recognize that luck and take advantage of it. And she said she signed to XL, part of the Beggars Group, which is one of the cool label groups in the UK and probably the strongest independent. Going to pass the mic over to Lenny Lavine. In this case, Crystal Castles are signed to a Canadian label, Last Gang, and Lenny will talk about how they've succeeded in the UK market.
Thank you. Hi, guys. Well, Crystal Castles has been a bit of an odyssey in a lot of different ways in a lot of different markets. And although on this latest record that's just been released, you know, after the life cycle of the last record, their debut and breakthrough, we did a deal with Polydor and upstreamed the record there for the UK. And so their current record is out on Polydor in the UK and in Europe. And in the States is, you know, the same type of upstream thing applied, whereas it's out on Uni Motown. That being said, there's still a Last Gang logo on all the product worldwide. And that's basically because of the deal that we structured at the tail end of the last record. With regard to Crystal Castles and how we succeeded there, you know, the truth of the matter is it's very, very similar to a lot of the artists that go through Last Gang, and our MO kind of remains the same. More often than not, Chris, who's the chairman of Last Gang, you know, usually goes out and shops our artists to a variety of different labels, both independent, major, around the world, and trying to generate some interest and trying to look for that ideal fit. Unfortunately, or depending on how you look at it, fortunately or unfortunately, usually that doesn't work out. And in the case of Crystal Castles, you know, Chris went over to the UK and shopped them 3 times. He made 3 separate trips to try and get something going with both majors and indies. And really, no one was interested. And, you know, we sent them over there and we've tour supported them. I'm talking about on the first record that really was their breakthrough and established them. We tour supported them 3 times. On the 3rd tour, it broke even. We went over there on numerous occasions trying to do deals, and it just, no one was biting. And, you know, after sending them out there and working it, and we kind of decided that we would do it ourselves, because that's usually what ends up happening at Last Gang. And we partnered up with this really kind of boutique-y indie label called Trouble Records, and we put out a few 7-inches. And it just started to percolate over there, and fans started really gravitating towards the music, which led to a much more increased kind of online profile and a lot of MySpace hits and all that kind of thing. And once there was this kind of palpable buzz around the band, you know, by virtue of the 7-inches that we had put out, by virtue of some of their crazy or legendary live shows, or, you know, their in-stores over there in London. Finally, you know, NME started to take notice and started to feature the band a bit. And, you know, from then, once you kind of get a supporter like an NME, things start to really steamroll. And from there, the band ended up being featured on the television show Skins, and then there was more NME coverage. At that point in time, PS, Play It Again Sam, or Pius, depending on what part of the world you live in, started sniffing around and wanted to do some form of distribution deal. And as the heat kind of kept being generated for Crystal Castles in the UK, that, you know, distribution deal went to a P&D deal or an enhanced P&D deal. And then after that, when things were really taking off and they were on the cover of NME and they were getting some radio support out there, and it had become really at that point a flavor of the month. that enhanced P&D deal was changed to a full-out licensing deal.